Welcome to the Choice, Change and Action podcast, where you get to choose, change and take action to create a different today and a different future. These are my stories of choice, change and action, along with the phenomenal guests I have on here. From a really young age, I've always desired to create a change in the world. The planet has been a constant inspiration to me, and Access Consciousness has shown me the tools to know that anything is possible. And I keep choosing. What are you going to choose? Hi everyone, welcome to the Choice, Change and Action podcast. You are in January 2022 and in the month of business. And in the month of business, my final guest here in January is Dr. David Kubes. So welcome.
Hi, Simone.
And David, you're in London at the moment, correct?
I'm in London, yes.
Yay. What are you doing in London?
Well, I am doing body process classes, and I organized an event for the Global Bars Day 2022, which is in 2 days.
Great. So by the time this airs, that would have already been. But if you ever wanted to check that out, because one of the body processes that we do in Access is called the bars. And it's literally like touching 32 different points on the head. And it starts to erase basically all the crap, all the thoughts, feelings, emotions, the limitations, the conclusions that you have around certain areas, and just starts to dissipate it. I had my bars run today for about 2.5 hours. Yesterday was 2 hours. And I was like, this is good. 2 days in a row getting my bars run was just fabulous. So if you actually want to know more about bars, you can still go to globalbarsday.com, and it's 12 hours of some amazing interviews, footage, different ththings about Access Consciousness, and it's on our YouTube channel, Access Consciousness YouTube channel. So when you're listening to this, don't have FOMO, because there is no fear of missing out. There's only JOMO, which is the joy of missing out. You can still watch it, okay? So go check it out, and if you can, get your bars run, because it is. I have no idea what I would do without bars. But that's not what we were here to talk about. But I'm glad that you're doing that, David. That's fabulous.
Me too.
Just one of the things that David is adding to his repertoire of abilities and capacities and revenue streams is becoming a 3-day body class facilitator. So he's working up to that. And if all goes well, I will be coming to Europe, and we will be co-facilitating a 3-day body class together, so that then he can go out there into the big wide world and let loose and do the 3-day body classes on his own, which will be fabulous. And I so look forward to that. And we will let you know when that's on. So, but today I was just talking to David, and one of the things that I talk a lot with, David has been a really major influence for me with business, and I love, because he always comments on me being an influence to him, and to me that's the way it should work. It's like you grab pieces of information, educate yourself from, surround yourself by people who know what they're doing. One of my biggest tools I always use is, whatever country you're in, grab someone who's successful, and if they're willing to, ask them, can I buy you dinner? Can I buy you a bottle of champagne? Pop that champagne and ask them questions on how they created their business. Most people who are successful are actually willing to give you the information. And I did that with some mutual friends of mine, of ours, Steve and Shatissa Bowman, for years. We used to have these like financial 101s, and, we'd go out, drink some wine, champagne, eat some yummy food, and we would just talk about creating businesses. And I remember at one stage, Steve was like, wow, you've really taken everything that we suggested and ran with it. And if you do, like, we have our same accountant, and my accountant said to me the other day, Simone, you're one of my favorite people to work with, because I advise you and you actually choose it. Like, you actually walk down that road and start choosing it to create something different. And so I wanted to talk to David about something that's a bit different today, because I love going down that creative accounting road with him. And maybe we should go off camera with that. I don't know. I'm kidding, or not. So I work with David a lot. Like, he works on a lot of the projects that we've worked with Access, and we still do. And we both work very closely with Gary Douglas, who is the founder of Access Consciousness. And we've both been at lunches in rooms together, while the other one is just getting, I'm going to say hammered and say it like it is, like absolutely hammered and nailed on a topic. And I love it when somebody else is, because you're just like, ooh, because you learn so much from what somebody else is learning. And I also love it when Gary does it to me too, because he never, ever will talk to you about something that doesn't allow you the choice to choose something different. And that's what I absolutely adore about working with that man. It just gets better and better and greater and greater. So one of the topics I said to David, can we talk about conclusion and being in conclusion in business? And what we're actually suggesting is don't be in conclusion in business. Okay, just in case you got that incorrect. We're not saying conclude your business. We would like to play and extrapolate and explore today here in this podcast about not being in conclusion. And both David and myself have done conclusion really well. Like, try and beat us on being the conclusionist king and queen of the universe. So you were saying you had a conversation with Gary yesterday about this. Can you start talking about that and what showed up?
Yes, I actually, I love the topic of conclusion, because what this reality, the universities, the business schools, all the other businesses tell you is you have to have a goal, you have to reach the goal, and you have to move towards a target. And all of that together is a conclusion. So a conclusion is when you have a business idea, when you want to change something, when you want to reach something, and you go, okay, this is it. That's the way it is. That's the solution. But when you do that, that's it. You completely close down, and the only thing that allows to keep existing is that conclusion. And the conversation I had with Gary yesterday, you probably know the El Lugar project. We're in the middle of construction. It's in Costa Rica. Different cultures clashing together. There is a lot of conclusion going on. There's a lot of there's a lot going on there, and you constantly have to be in question. And in this project, I tended to go that would be the solution for that would be the solution to that. So going from conclusion to conclusion turns you some kind into the firefighters who just look, okay, where is a little fire and where can I distinguish it? But that's not creation. That's kind of always being behind, because the fire has to be first, the problem has to be first, and then you can solve it with a conclusion. What Gary invited me yesterday, when I looked into all my businesses, not just Elogar, is looking at your life like a game of chess, where you're always 8 steps ahead, where you have to go into this bird eye view and look, okay, that's probably solves this problem, but what else? And then what else? So always go eight steps ahead in the future and look at the big picture. Then you cannot function from conclusion, because you will always allow, even if this is the short-term solution for a problem, like if you, I don't know, sometimes short-term adjustments are required, but it doesn't mean that this is the conclusion, this is the solution. There is always more. And conclusions, these short-term solutions, it never creates a long-term profitable business, because you will always be behind. Because in order to come to a conclusion, you need to know what will work. And when you function from, okay, what will work, from your knowing, if you always go to the past, you can always create more of the same. You will never open this possibility into the unknown, which is always growing. So conclusion is kind of going into the, it's a one-way street with a big concrete wall. And then you come to full stop. One way of creating, but the way more beautiful way of creating is just open more possibilities, open it up. And
well, to add to that as well, yeah, because one of the things that Gary actually spoke to me about the other week was adding fluidity to our schedule. And, because I work myself, I work with 3 other main people that we sort of organize the schedule for, myself and Gary, Dane and Brendan. And then it also includes others as well, because we have other, facilitators that do facilitator training. So you've really got to have that aerial view and have a look at it. And of course, we used to work anywhere from 12 to 18 months out and book venues and know where we were heading. And in the last couple of years, it's been impossible to do that. And we have created this I'm so grateful I'm talking to you now, because I'm getting more so what we had created was the ability to change, but not actually add the fluidity. And the fluidity is what creates that sense of ease and that being really malleable with no point of view. Because I know that we've changed stuff and sort of gone, like we've changed stuff. Like, you know, you were about to come to Australia. So was Gary, Dane, and Brennan. And we just had to pull the plug on it and say, hey, the government isn't giving us enough information at the moment to let you guys in without doing hotel quarantine. So let's pull the plug on it. And we had to do that. And I get there's the difference of having to make a choice and conclude something like that rather than truly adding the fluidity to your business. Now, it's sort of like, and I just had this conversation with someone that we work with as well, because when I say that, like adding the fluidity to your business, and you're listening or watching as the case may be, because we're now on YouTube as well, so you can check that out. It's like not just the fluidity to what you can see and what you can perceive and what you can touch and what you can reach out to. What if you actually added fluidity? And it's like this level of instilling chaos really into the entirety of the future, so that you can reach out to the future and know what it is that you have to choose today in order to have that show up. Does that make sense? Because it's like
it does.
It's such an
It
energetic
does.
journey to go on with that. Yeah.
It does, because it allows you to go beyond the conclusion. A conclusion is this, it is, that's it. And for a lot of people and a lot of businesses, that's how they design that, that's how they work. But there's so much more if you add this. And I love adding a fluidity because it allows you to grow, it allows you to go. And I look at life, look at nature. This is where we all come from. Look at energy. And what I love about energy, you can't produce energy, you can only transform it. And in order to transform energy, it has to move. So constant move is what we are, what everything is on planet Earth. And with the conclusion, you just stop it. But adding fluidity, and I love this, you keep going, and sometimes you don't know where exactly, but that's not required. And that's probably the thing that people should start practicing, because it's people will call it uncomfortable to kind of go into the unknown. We all, when you go into this, when you drive a car and it's totally foggy, you slow down because you don't know. That's okay. But in life, energetically, you don't need to slow down just because you don't see the next step, you don't see the next goal.
Well, I've driven with you and I've snow skied with you, and no, you do not need to slow down.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So that's the idea of keep going, and it doesn't matter whether you don't know exactly where to. That's the beautiful part of creation. This is exploring the unknown.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you can have an idea where you would like to go. However, if you allow yourself to be open and see those unknown new possibilities, the beyond possibilities, and trust that you will see them, that you will hear those whispers, you keep going, that's this ultimate creative energy in your business. And that's what I try to increase now. This, wait a minute, there is more. It's like having this reach out. And
like beyond what you can control as well. Because one of the things I have been looking at, and ever since 2019, it's something I've been working on a lot, is not to function from the rightness of my point of view, to have that be the main theme that runs my life, is being right. And it was interesting because I look at it and I go, okay, so if I'm always trying to, and one of the questions I ask is, am I trying to prove that I'm right, or am I trying to create myself as right? And it's a really interesting question, a very vulnerable question to ask, actually, because then you have to explore that there's another possibility rather than the choice that you've decided is the right choice. And if you functioning from the rightness of your point of view, it holds hands. It's like at the same party as conclusion, and the same party as, limitations and control. It's like they're all holding hands together going, yay, we've got this. But in truth, you don't. And that's the piece that has just completely rocked my boat, that I have always, I decided that if I made the right choice, I could control everything. and I could conclude everything, and then something greater would show up. And that is one of the biggest lies that I've ever told myself. So if that is something that you've been telling yourself, like if you can relate to that in any way, I'm going to suggest that you destroy and uncreate absolutely everything that is, and run the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement, right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds, and find out, I want to say, like, what's on the other side, because that's where I'm at the moment. And I had a conversation with Gary this morning, and I realized, I was telling him the story about, you were at this lunch actually in Rome, in Italy in 2019, and Gary was really sick. His body wasn't doing too well. And he had texted myself and Brendan White and said, hey, you guys have got to jump up on stage and facilitate the facilitators, with 2 days notice. And I was like, what? You know, like, that's so out of control. I was like, 2 days notice. And I looked at it later and went, well, what would I have done if it was 2 weeks notice? Like, I wouldn't have done anything different. It's like freaked out for longer, I don't know. So I realized, I was like, okay, it's 2 days, whatever. And so we did. And it was amazing, because that change, that level of change, and the conclusion that people had gone to, that it was always Gary and Dane here on the stage facilitating facilitators, and that we just that was so malleable. The fluidity, we changed it, and it changed so much for so many people. So many people come up and they're like, wow, you guys doing that, I realize what I can stand up to be, right? So we were at this lunch during that class, and I was talking about something, and Gary looked at me and he said, I can't do it anymore. And he was really tired and his body wasn't doing well. And he said, I can't do it anymore. And I said, what? And he went, I can't argue with you anymore. He said, I'm done. He said, you always have to be right. And I will never forget the look on his face. I was telling him this morning, I looked at his face and I went, holy shit. I was like, I am not creating anything great for his body right now. If anything, I am adding to, him being super tired and getting sick by the rightness of my point of view. So I made the demand at that moment that I would change it. And that was in 2019. I realized this morning, David, I was changing it for him, not for me. And so I've still kept a lot of this in place. So at the moment, that's my new tool, is like, I'll have a look at the question that I'm asking myself, because when you have a question, you can never remember it because it's so in your face at the moment.
Yes.
Yeah, one of those ones. Yeah. And it's actually what I'm asking myself at the moment. Where is it? I've got to find it now. I'll find it and I'll give it out, because it's
thank you for that conversation, because this is how we can start changing, to be brutally honest with ourselves and go, okay, that making that demand that it changes. And thank you also for sharing this, because people always think, oh, you are such an advanced facilitator, one conversation, one choice, and happy life, all is good.
That's correct.
It is such that's where you are being this inspiration. We go, okay, no, keep going, keep practicing. I mentioned that in one of my classes, that it's like with eating, you can't have one meal for the rest of your life. Okay, it is a one-off choice, but keep going, choosing it. Life is not a one-off choice situation where you just need to find the right autopilot to be on. And I had a similar, you're talking about being right, being the best friend of conclusion. I think there's a control is kind of the other big friend, the three musketeers, control, conclusion, being right. I had a lot of issues going and letting go of control, because as a lawyer, I was trained and practiced over years. You have to be in control, and you are responsible for your choices. And if you slide off once, you're done. The tool that I am using, because controlling is really, it at the beginning, it kind of, okay, I have this, it works, but it never allows you to go beyond your comfort zone.
Yeah, that's what I would like to invite people to.
And going beyond your comfort zone, okay, it is uncomfortable, but uncomfortable can be so beautiful, because you will explore new possibilities, new businesses, new clients, new income streams, new revenue streams you haven't even dreamed of if you allow that to go. And the tool that I am using at the moment, because I was like, oh, when I'm excited with most of the things I do. So I had difficulties finding out when I'm going, oh my God, this is amazing. Is this control or is this creation? And that's actually the question I'm using. Am I controlling or am I creating? And instantaneously you get the hit. That's the question that I play with.
I love it. Okay. And so we're going to, if you want to download the show notes, we'll have it in the show notes as well too. So what is it again? Am I controlling or am I
creating?
Creating. I love that. And then you can add on the end if you choose, like everything at that is times a godzillion, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pod, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds, or just pock and pod, like easy.
Pod and pod, but just be aware just whenever I go, that's it.
Let it melt. Yeah.
Yeah, so, whenever, and I do that a lot. Okay, that I'm you know, I was a really good problem solver in the past when I was like, oh, where's the problem that I can solve? I'm so good at it, and it's still there, and I still have fun doing it. But now I added this. Okay, whenever there is this situation where I think I have a solution, where I think, oh, that, yeah, immediately I add, okay, wait a minute, am I controlling or am I creating? And just that question opens things up, and other. It's this, I can hear other whispers. I don't know. It's just beautiful to watch how it keeps flowing instead of going, ugh.
Well, the question I have is, am I being right or am I choosing to make myself right?
That's a good one.
Yeah, I know. It's like we can share our questions. So it's very similar. And the thing that I'm realizing too is, from in my world, like, I mean, and truthfully, this is today, it's been on my whole day has been unraveling with this as well, is having a look at, because whatever you have that, so say you've got David with you know, control, and trust me, I'm running up there in second place. It's not like he owns that, you know, and then the being right as well. Have a look at what you're choosing and where does it work for you? Because weirdly I went, it's worked for me. And if you start to acknowledge that it has worked for you, then you can start to, if you really sit with that, like David said, like if you sit with that moment, then you can go, okay, this, I've been choosing to be right. I've been choosing to control everything. I've been choosing to conclude everything, like not just with my business, with the entirety of my life. Okay, how has this worked for me? Like, what has made this work? Like I did a session with someone today and they were talking about how being a recluse, like, and being antisocial. And I was like, you know, their theme of their life. And I said, well, how has it worked for you? And they were like, you know, the obvious. It's like, well, then I don't have to engage with people. Then I don't have to, you know, do X, Y, Z. And I was looking at this recently because I love being on my own. And Gary actually said to me, you do realize you don't have to create like this energy in your world or in somebody else's so that they have to react to what you're choosing. So then you can be on your own. You can just actually choose. It's like, go to the movies on your own. You don't have to go ring all your friends and tell them why they can't come. It's like, just go to the movies on your own, you know, just choose to be on your own. And I went, oh, that's way easier. And as David's been saying, it does get easier. Like it gets uncomfortable, but it gets so much easier on the other side. And if you look at, what if you gave up all of your limitations and the themes that you have that are running your life and your business currently, which it could be being right, like you can borrow ours, being right, controlling, concluding.
Someone wants control, yeah, come mimic me.
And concluding, and have a look at, okay, so where has this been working for me? And not about judging you, but if you're willing to acknowledge it, like truly be vulnerable and acknowledge it, you can change it. If you sort of have that energy of like, nah, that's not me, and you ignore it, then you cannot change it. It's just the way it works. But if you're willing to acknowledge it, you can change it.
And what I also want to add is play with it. Okay, you don't have to change everything from one day to the other. Start playing with it, try it out and see if it works. Okay, yeah. And allow yourself also to follow your knowing. You know, you don't push yourself over the edge of your comfort zone. Why don't you kind of, you know, take a look, be a little curious, try it out here, try it out there. This is being kind to yourself with these changes as well, because it's not wrong. It's not wrong that you've done that. It's not wrong that I did control. I was very successful controlling my life into existence, really successful as a lawyer, but it wasn't fun for me anymore. So that's why I'm changing it. But I'm
you're not our lawyer anymore. Like, what's happening?
What?
Does that mean you're not our lawyer anymore? What's happening?
No, what I say is I'm allowing myself to have ease with that change, and I'm not making myself wrong that I've done it. A lot of people go, when they have this awareness, when they acknowledge what they are doing, they immediately go into the wrongness that they've done it. They judge that they've done control. And I did it. I mean, why am I talking about it? Because I went there. I said, oh my God, what an idiot. Why did I do this? And then I said, wait a minute, it actually worked. So it's not wrong, but now is the time to change it. So I'm adding it onto my life, rather than making it wrong and forcing it into existence. You can't force change into existence. You can only choose it, gently choose it, kindly choose it, without going into the wrongness of yourself that you're not there yet. So that's what I'm playing with now. I'm practicing it. I'm kindly kind of pushing myself a little bit over, and it works. It's incredible to see how it works, and practicing with less significant things is just, that worked for me. Try it out, and
I'm the same. Yeah, when you practice with less significant things, and then you watch something melt and become like, and you go, whoa. And it's like, well, what if you did that with what you've decided is the big choices that you must control? No, I love it as well. I mean, we had this schedule meeting, and we were looking at, really destroying and uncreating, like looking at every project we had. And I met with the people that I work with this morning, and I said, let's do the same thing. It's January. It's weird. It's weird. It's weirder than usual, January this year. Let's look at everything and really destroy and uncreate, every point of view we have. Like, will this project create something greater? Is it fun for us? Like, really ask some questions about everything. Don't just do what we did before based on we've done it. Is that actually going to be fun for you in the business? Will it work? Will it create something greater? And start really truly being in question. And I was really like, determined to get it right. And so I was like, destroy and uncreate the whole schedule. And I realized when I had this meeting the other day, I've destroyed and uncreated at 80%. I'm willing to be 80%. Like, and it took me 24 hours, like, and because we work with people over, the world. So I went to sleep, they were still awake. And then when I woke up, they were asleep, and I left them a message and I went, okay. And I was like, first of all, thank you so much for working with me, and how I can be so controlling and go to conclusions all the time and always trying to be right. And I realized that I was only willing to change this 80%. I'm done. I'm willing to change this 100%, whatever that shows up like. If that means I'm not leaving Australia, if that means I'm staying here, if that means I'm living in Europe, if that means whatever that means, whatever that shows up as, I'm going to choose that and live my life more vibrantly with everything that I am committed to, which is consciousness in the planet, and whatever that looks like and whatever it shows up, I'm in. And as I say that, I know it's really hot and humid here, but it makes me really hot, because it's like that uncomfortable where you're just like, oh my goodness.
You're just opening such a beautiful energy of going, hey, it will work. It will work. This,
or it doesn't, but then something else shows up.
That, because there is no it will work or not, because there is no right and wrong. That's the beauty of kind of, jumping off that cliff. I mean, once you are a little bit over the comfort zone, you will come to the cliff, and then you just jump off, and then you will spread your wings and fly.
Yeah.
And that's what you're missing out if you function from conclusion, control, and righteousness. That incredible sensation of jumping and just knowing, I'll spread my wings and fly.
Yeah. That's so. And the funny thing is, if you, like, I know a lot of people listening to these podcasts are very creative people, and you literally cannot access your creativity when you're functioning from control, conclusion, being right, or you put time in the equation, all of that. Your creativity just goes and gets sucked away. So what if you were willing just to go, okay, I'm in. This is not about pleasing anyone else. This is about choosing for me, whatever it takes, no matter what it looks like. And let's go. Let's explore the creativity that is actually possible for all of us, with our businesses, with our lives, with our living, all of it. And like, sort of like this unapologetically. Let's
Yes.
choose to be everything that we be.
And I have to add a tool here, one of those incredible tools that you mentioned somewhere long ago that I just boom, jumped on it. If you start your days, where is my energy required today? You will know where to put your creativity on. So instead of planning it out, doing all your to-do lists, start your day with the question, hey, where is my energy required? And if you practice that a lot, you don't even have to sit down and cognitively ask that question. You'll wake up and woof, that's it.
Yeah.
Write this manual, write this book, prepare this class, call this client. This will become the new autopilot, being in question and knowing and hearing those whispers and knowing where your energy is required. And then there is no space, there's no need for control. Control and conclusion will be replaced by your knowing, which is what I can't wait to be 100%, which is what I'm working towards, to go, okay, I want to allow myself to be that. And sometimes it's kind of, what? That? Okay. And beautiful things show up and get created.
I love how this works, David, because you said this tool that I said once that you just sort of grabbed, but in truth, I'm pretty sure I got that from Gary Douglas. And now I just wrote in my calendar to go off every day at 8 a.m. Where is my energy required? I usually know where my energy is required before 8 a.m. because I'm on calls or meetings because Europe and America is still awake. So that's done. But by 8 a.m., where is my energy required? And I'm going to play with this. So I'm going to give you, anyone listening, it's like, what if you did like a 30-day challenge of like, where is my energy required for yourself? And it could be your body goes, hey, move me. Like I went to Pilates today and my instructor goes, hey, how's your body? I haven't seen her. She's been on a break. And I went, I need to move. Like I could tell my body was like, move me, you know? And it's like, that's where the energy was required. And it's like, but it could be call someone. It could be, like you said, create a manual, write a book. It's like cook something, whatever. Where is your energy required? If you're not concluding, you're not trying to get it right. And you're not trying to control it, asking the question, where is my energy required? Not how many WhatsApps, how many Telegram threads, how many Skypes, how many emails, how many, all of that. It's don't create your day based on all the platforms you're on to create your day. Ask a question. Where is my energy required?
And energy required is not a doing. This is what I think that's an important information. Sometimes doing nothing and creating and being space is the action that's required to take. It means sit down, watch a Netflix and leave it. Creating space, where's my energy required doesn't mean where do I need to do something. We are very much driven by I need to do and complete. But creating space and doing nothing can be an action that will create the most. So allow this to be, doesn't mean that you just sit at home, watch Netflix and the universe will create everything on your behalf. Okay, that would be the other, extreme. Allow it to be part of the energy. Maybe your body or the project requires space. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I struggled most with because I was such a doer and I felt so guilty watching a Netflix at 11 a.m. in the morning. Oh my God, it wasn't a reality 2 years ago.
I love Netflix and I love watching shows. I actually just watched this show. It's on Netflix yesterday called The Defiant Ones. It's a little mini series, so it's like got 4 shows or something, and it's about Dr. Dre, the famous hip hop producer of music, etc., and all that. It's from Straight Outta Compton, like the band that was there. And then also it's actually, you'd like it, I think, too, because it's got a lot of, I like the business side of it because they just did not give up. I mean, they're in jail, there's shootings, there's all of that, but it's a documentary. And what's the guy's name? I can't remember the guy's name now, but they owned a record label together. But how they both, he was an Italian in New York, and then you've got Dr. Dre growing up in Compton in California, and how they created their lives and then how they came together, and they made the biggest sale ever to Apple Music with their headphones Beats And it goes through the whole series of when Napster came out and people started downloading music, and they sort of went, shit, the party's over, because they were making all this money from selling records and then selling CDs and all of that. And that whole industry, when that just sort of collapsed with all the musicians, you had to be in question, and you had to find out what next, like what else can you choose, and be sort of relentless with being in question and going, what next, what next, what next? And it's a really funny story, because I don't know if you know the really cool headphones called Beats, and they've got this really cool bee on them, right? Because you know, Sony and Bose all put out like these headphones saying, and this is a great business thing, they put out all these headphones saying, you know, noise cancelling, and they were like, well, noise cancelling is great if you're on a plane, but if you want to listen to music and you want to listen to beats, let's create that headphone, you know, for the musicians, for the sports people, etc. So they did. But they kept on getting, Dre kept getting these offers to, you know, promote different things. Like it was like, you know, be the spokesperson for sneakers, etc. And literally his partner went, fuck sneakers, what about speakers? And he said it was a 10-minute conversation. And he went, I'm coming back to you. And they met with these engineers and everything. And that's how they created Beats. And it's wild, like but the thing that they were relentless. They just kept going. Like whether there was like jail, like I said, shootings, all of that, they just kept going. So it's called The Defiant Ones. I think you'd really like it. It was just,
I will watch it.
Yeah.
I try to watch it at 11 a.m. to
okay,
work on my feeling guilty for not being in the office or not doing.
I know what you can do to even add to your guilt. Pour yourself a glass of wine at 11 a.m.
Before noon.
Really out of control.
Oh my God. My homework is really pushing me at the edge of what's possible here.
Oh, that's so funny. We'll ring Gary, who we work with. Dear Gary, now we're just drunk and watching Netflix. See, we're out of control now. We're not trying to get it right. It's funny. Anyway, I'm glad we can laugh about this. So, David, this has been an absolute joy talking to you. It always is. Thank you so much for joining me here. Where can people find you? I know we're going to put on your like Instagram handle and all of that, but do you have anything coming up you want to talk about or mention?
Well, yeah, I'm actually coming up with a telecall about investing on the stock market, which I started also playing. I didn't do that, where I just want to share some tools, practical tools as well, and some mindsets. If you just want to make some money there. I follow the energy there, and my God, there are possibilities beyond your dreams.
Yes, that is very true.
I remember in Mexico when we were setting our alarms, that's where it started. So again, it was you.
Okay, so I need to tell a little story about this, because we were in Mexico and we were in the pool, we're swimming, right? And it's like, but there's a bunch of people that we work with. And I said, David and I were talking about some mutual stocks that we have. And we looked at each other and we said, have you bought any of them lately? And it's like, it was sort of pinging, like, and that's how we got it. It was like pinging, like it's this energy that goes now. And we looked at each other and I was like, I looked at the clock and I went, stock market in Australia is still open. And so we both just got out of the pool and got our computers. And a guy, Wes, that we work with and absolutely adore, he goes, that was hysterical. You guys just got out of the pool, you've got margaritas in your hand and went and grabbed your computer because the stock market's still open to buy more shares. It was like, yeah, like the moment was there, choose it. So yes, but I look forward to that. I'm definitely going to join up for that call then, David, because I love playing on the stock market and I've done really well with it, and it has not been anything significant at all. It's just literally been from play.
And for me, it was the one area where I allowed myself to not do control and not conclusion, because funny thing, the money I invested, I was so ready to lose it. I just didn't.
Me too. Yeah.
So it was a brilliant way for me to practice, to follow the energy rather than reading analytics, read what other people say. No, ask the stock, look at it, do your own stuff. And it brilliantly worked.
Yeah.
So that the money that I put in.
Yeah, I bought a stock from a quote unquote mistake, you know, writing in the wrong ticker code, and bought a stock and it worked. And I was like, well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen, that's the universe. Buy this stock. So yeah. So what if you could have so much fun with that? So please check that out it's davidkubes.com, right?
drdavidkubes.com. If you go to davidkubes.com, it's a real estate agent in Miami. That's not me.
So it's drdavidkubes.com. And like I said, we will, in the show notes, we will have a link to David's class as well, and his Instagram and all of that. So, so thank you so much, David, for being here. I truly look forward to seeing you again. I think the next time is in Mexico.
Yes, absolutely.
Fabulous. More stock buying from the pool with margaritas, I say, you know.
I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome. All right. So thank you so much, everyone. And if you know the gig, if you want to find out more, it's like go to all the websites that we have listed, etc., and the Instagram. And we actually have an Instagram handle for this podcast now, Choice, Change, and Action. So start following us on that, and we'll send you little, snippets of things coming up, etc. So thank you again. And if you haven't checked it out, we are on YouTube, so you can check out the YouTube channel as well. And then you can see me and David waving to you right now.
Hello.
All right. Thanks everybody for joining us. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please make sure to hit the follow or subscribe button on your favorite listening platform to get notified of new episodes. We read all the reviews, so if there's any topic you would like to hear about, let us know. If you'd like to know more about the tools, information, and classes mentioned in the podcast, head on over to SimoneMilasas.com and follow me on Instagram at Simone Milasas, or the podcast has its very own link on Instagram at Choice, Change, and Action. Don't forget, you can download the show notes. And lastly, have way too much fun today.